Hello, good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, yeah. Okay, how many do we have now? Just few people. Okay, more are coming. All right, guys. Good morning. My name is Indiana. I'm one of the UI UX mentor with Paddy Code, and my assignment for today is a brief, just an onboarding session while I hand over to Sumi. Sumi, I don't know. I think Sumi is here. Yeah, she's the one that started the meeting. So Sumi is the mentor for today. Hopefully you get to see her. But my assignment here is just brief, simple onboarding. Welcome you guys to this meeting. And hopefully I should be the one taking the next class, I think, yeah. But just want to say, guys, welcome to Paddy Code. And this training will be insightful, I can tell you that. And from testimonial we've already received from other students in the previous cohorts we've had before, I would say that this is going to be an insightful experience for every one of you. And I look forward to seeing what we are going to build together. That I can assure you. Looking at the experienced mentors we have, from Sumi to Tolani to Rachel and Oge, that will be taking us also in this class, including me. I can promise you that you are in for a good ride and it's going to be awesome. So the way the classes are being done is that we respect every student. We respect every question you ask, irrespective of how it sounds. We respect every question. So feel free to ask question. This is a safe space. Let me use that word. This is a safe space. So whatever question you ask, we will attend to your question. And try as much as possible to stick to the subject matter for the day. Don't go too far from what we are taking every moment, so that you will not make your mentor run faster than he or she would have supposed to. So try as much as possible to narrow your question to a particular subject matter and be open to answers as well. Also, just like every class has always been in your regular school and everything, at the end of every module, maybe apart from today, you'll be given an assignment to do, and there is an email you send your assignment to at every after you've done your assignment. So endeavor to do your assignment when you are being given, because it's going to be a practical program, and we don't want you to not to participate in any assignment that you've been given. Then lastly, respect your mentors. What else do I want to say? Try as much as possible to attend classes. I can see that in your Q&A group that all of you want a rescheduled in terms of timing. We arrange timing for the class. I mean, we are going to ask this question maybe towards the end of the class to know what time, or we do a vote to know what time will be convenient for you guys on Saturday. But for Friday, time will not change, 7 p.m. But Sumi, most of them are saying that they prefer their class to be on is it 5 p.m. Saturday now or 6 p.m. thereabout? Well, we have not yet agreed to that, but let's see how many people request that should happen. If all the people want that to happen, then we can make that work for you. Is that okay? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. So I'm just going to leave this floor to Sumi now to take over. All right. Sumi, are you there?
Sorry, are you referring to me?
Yeah.
Are you talking to me? Okay.
Oh, Sumto. Sorry. I like to call you Sumi. Don't mind me. It's Sumto, please.
Okay. All right, no problem. That's okay. I would just share my screen so we can get right into it. Okay. Please confirm, can you see my screen and can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. So, again, welcome to Paddy Code Project 100, UI UX track. So my name is Somto Chukwu. I am a UI UX mentor. What else am I? I'm a product designer, of course, and a digital illustrator. So I think this is my third year as a designer. So yeah, just like you guys, I mean, tech is always evolving. There are always changes and there are things to learn. So coming into this field, just be prepared to always learn. There is always something to learn. Almost every day, you'd find out something that you've never heard of before or you're not so familiar with. Just like we are right now in the age of AI in quote. So I mean, when technologies or different trends come out, I think the best you can do is to just try to get familiar with those tech and trends. But just to be clear, it's not everything that creates a buzz around us. I mean, we don't have to pay attention to everything that creates a buzz around us, right? So some things come, some things go, some things stay. And I mean, despite the fact that it seems like AI has been in the limelight a lot, I mean, it's always been around, but now we are looking at more integrations and more applications of AI. So for some people who might be worried that AI is here to take their jobs, I think you guys can relax. I don't see that happening anytime soon or even at all. So the best you can do with regards to that is to learn how to use these technologies to make your work faster, because at some point in time, it's going to be about who can deliver value within the shortest possible time. And you have these AI tools to help you with that, right? So we have seen designers use AI to help speed up their process in like research, analyzing data. I mean, if you go to ChatGPT, you can tell ChatGPT to carry out a competitive analysis for you. So something that would have taken you maybe hours, 4 hours or so, you can achieve that in less than 10 minutes with the use of AI. So that being said, if you have any questions, you can always indicate, maybe send a message in the chat if you're not comfortable speaking, or you can just indicate, raise your hand, and you can ask your question. So before I move forward, do you have any question by any chance for me before I continue to the content of today?
None from
Okay.
my end.
Okay, all right, so I guess it's safe to continue. So yeah, today we will be introducing the foundations of user experience and user interface design. So sometimes you might hear, I mean, there are different terms, right? So sometimes you might hear product design, you would hear UI UX design, and there is also something else called service design, interaction design. all these have their similarities, right? But there are still some differences. But I like to think of product design to be pretty much the same as UI UX design, because I mean, let me just make this clear. When we talk about UI UX or product design, it's not just limited to digital interfaces. We also have physical product design, right? So, but I think that most times when people say UI UX design, I mean, the first thought that comes to your mind is probably the digital interfaces. But yeah, so we have people who are physical product designs, like people who design phones, devices, different things you can think about. When we talk about the principles of design, you would see that they are all related. At the end of the day, the same principles can be applied across different types of design that exist. So for UI UX design, it is pretty much focused on what you can see and the experience. When I say experience, I mean the interaction between a user. So the U, of course, always stands for user. So when we talk about UX, it's more about the experience. How do I feel when I am interacting with the product? How do I go about achieving something using a product? So the interface is what makes it possible for a user to get a value out of a product. So the interface is what they can see, what they can interact with when we're talking about digital products. So just as you can see the slide now that I'm presenting, you can see the interface of the slide. The experience now is how do you get the value from the slides? Okay, so imagine that I'm presenting this slide, but you can't read the heading of this module that I'm talking about now. That would be a poor experience because it would be hard for you to follow along if you can't see what I'm talking about right now, if you can't read it clearly. So UI design is pretty much about the visual aspect of any product, right? So we talk about different digital elements that make up the products, like the buttons, the layout. So the layout, of course, at the end of the day, everything intersects, right? UI and UX. I don't think you would be able to deliver a great experience if your interface is terrible. So at all times, both UI and UX always go hand in hand if you actually want to deliver value to your users. So when we talk about UI design, we also talk about the typography. How legible, how legible now is the UX part of it, but your choice of typography, colors you're using, your icons, your imagery, your components, just as I talked about, the buttons and every other thing. All of that make up the UI aspect of a design. And as I explained again, the UX is the overall experience a user has interacting with a product, system, or service. You see how it says product, system, or service, just so you understand that this is not limited to digital interfaces, right? So we can see UX design, just like when you go to the mall to make a purchase. If the pay point is situated somewhere far away from the exit, you're probably going to have a bad experience because it means when you make payments, you're going to have to move around a lot just to leave the mall. So when we talk about that part of design, it has more to do with service design because service design is more holistic because it covers every touch point you can think about, from where a user starts to where the value is delivered, everything that comes in between. We'll talk about that in service design. So similarities between UI and UX design, of course, both of them aim to meet user needs and expectations, right? So whenever you're designing an interface, whenever you're designing a product, the end goal is supposed to be delivering value. And for you to be able to deliver value, you have to think about your users, right? That's why it's not just interface design, it's user interface and user experience design. So whatever product you're building, for you to say that it's successful, your target audience must be satisfied. And to achieve that, we then talk about things like human-centered design. We'll talk about design methods, right? We have different approaches to UI UX design, which we're still going to see later on. UI UX, weighing both of them, they are both focused on balance, right? So you can't have a very nice looking interface. And at the end of the day, people are confused about how to go about using this product. All you've done is just design an interface which nobody can use. And when you design something nobody can use, you are unable to deliver value both to the business and to the users, right? And when we talk about experience, I don't like to think that poorly designed interfaces have a great experience. And it may be because I enjoy looking at beautiful interfaces, because there are sometimes when we see some updates released by Google or any of these big companies and we're like, whatever is this UI design I'm thinking about? But yes, there has to be a balance between both of them. Now, let's look at a case study to further understand what user experience and user interface design is. The case study here is the coffee shop app. So it says that Sarah, a busy professional who loves coffee. Sarah is a busy professional who loves coffee, and she recently downloaded a new coffee shop app to pre-order her drinks. She's excited to use it because it promises quick, easy ordering so she can skip the line and save time on her way to work. Now, you've seen how this is just one scenario. This is just one persona. A persona is, should I call it a sample of your target audience? So one representation of one category of users you're targeting. So Sarah now represents somebody who is busy and she loves coffee. And what she wants is just quick, she's excited, right, to use the app because the app promises what? Quick and easy ordering. So because she's busy, definitely she wants to have everything on the go immediately. Now, imagine this person downloads the app and she doesn't get this experience that she's looking for. She's going to abandon the product, right? Because it's not solving her problem. So whenever we're designing, we always think about what problems are we solving for the users. You can't just wake up and solve your own problem. Yes, you can solve your own problem, but when you're designing, you're not designing for yourself. Don't take design personal, right? Look at your users, not yourself. So that is why it's very important to always understand the perspectives, the pain points of your users. So imagine you are the designer of this app and you fail to factor in the fact that your users are busy. It's going to hamper the way you go about designing because you're probably going to make some design decisions that won't support this person that is busy, right? So your checkout process might end up being so long and stuff like that. So looking at this case study, knowing that this person wants a quick and easy service, one thing we can think about is, okay, the checkout process and the process of ordering a coffee has to be as short as possible. It has to just get straight to the point. And one of the ways we can do that as designers is to limit the options users have, but always leave them feeling in control. When I say limit the options, don't give them too many things to choose from at a time. It's going to end up making them take a longer while to make a decision. Something else we can talk about is maybe skipping the account creation process just to meet the needs of our users that are busy, right? So you can have an option for somebody to be able to place an order as a guest without having to create an account. That also saves time, and that is going to be appealing to Sarah and other users like her. Now, this is a poor UX example. So imagine when Sarah opens the app for the first time, she's immediately frustrated. The interface is cluttered with too many confusing options. Just as I said, limits the options you're giving them and hard to read texts. The ordering process is lengthy, you see, and she finds it difficult to select her favorite drink. The color scheme is so low contrast, and that is hard to read under the sun, and there is no option to increase the font size. So let's go back to Sarah now. Sarah is busy, so she's probably walking or driving and trying to place an order. Now, for somebody who is probably multitasking, if you make it hard for them to see certain things on your application, they're probably going to abandon that flow, or they're just going to get frustrated, abandon the product, right? So when we think about all these things, you always have to put accessibility at the back of your mind. What is accessibility? Accessibility is is how easy it is for users to interact with your product. So we look at things like your colors, contrast, right? So contrast is pretty much it's not just limited to colors, right? So it's the way you what is that hierarchy? So the way you place your hierarchy when you are working with some elements. So for colors, when we talk about poor contrast, you have to make sure that whatever colors you are using, it's easy to differentiate between them unless it is for specific design purposes. So just like when you have a button, right, and you have a text on the button, you need to make sure that text is legible so that users don't spend so much time trying to figure out what you're saying, or for interfaces that have a long form content. You want to make it easy for people to be able to read it. So if your text has a poor contrast against the background, the accessibility is poor. So we're still going to see all these things, all these terms and things you need to consider when you're designing in depth as we go on, because this is just an introduction. Now, a good example is a similar app which has been designed with user-centered principles. So from the start, this is one thing the app does. It asks her preferences to suggest her favorite drink, right? So in case she doesn't know what she wants, all she knows is that she wants coffee. Now we need to help her make that decision. So you find out her preferences. What do you want, so that we can exclude the options that are not appealing to her? And what else? Talked about the large buttons, color contrast, and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, it takes just a couple of taps to complete an order, which is great for somebody who is busy like Sarah. Now, for the results, the well-designed app definitely respects her time and makes her morning routine easier. So beyond giving this person coffee, beyond enabling this person make coffee, a good design has the ability to impact the overall well-being of its users, right? So we might just see it as, oh, okay, this person has come to the app, she has ordered for coffee and she has it. But we're saving them time. We are probably saving them resources based on, probably saving the resources because they don't have to go in to order, right? They can get the coffee wherever they are. What else? What else are we probably saving them? Time, whatever. The overall satisfaction. So at the end of the day, maybe having that cup of coffee the way she wants is what sets off her day to a good start. You never can tell the implications or the effect of your design on your users. Any questions so far? Let me know. No questions.
No question.
Okay. All right. So key takeaways that we can see from this case study, we've talked about this accessibility. Now with usability, usability is also the ease with which users use your app pretty much. Yeah. So as I mentioned, it has made the process simple and efficient. Good usability. For accessibility, there is clear text, accessible options. So just like maybe let's say she doesn't have time to create an account. We have given her an option to sign in as a guest, which just makes the process easier for her and stuff like that. So when we talk about accessibility later on, we'd also see it in the broader sense where we talk about inclusivity. And inclusivity, recognizing that there is a spectrum of users, right? And when you are designing, you need to consider that entire spectrum or as much as you can, because definitely it's always going to be hard to consider everybody when you're creating your product, but at least make sure that you satisfy your target audience at least. Then we also see principles of user-centered design. By having Sarah at the center of our design, we made sure that our decisions were to solve our problem, right? So we did not just veer off at any point to start solving our own problem or start solving a problem that doesn't exist. That is the importance of having your user persona, to make sure that that solution you are suggesting is actually going to be appreciated by the people who are using your product. So that is the end of this slide. I want to hear your questions, because I don't believe that you don't have any question. Should I ask my own questions? I hope you all can still hear me. I think there are 13 people on this call, and I'm tired of hearing just my voice. So I want this to be interactive. You can unmute if you have anything to say. Yes, Charles, please go ahead.
When it comes to color code and font size, would we get that from the company or clients that we are working for, or we'll be using our own initiative to create the colors that we'll use for the designs?
Okay. So when you're designing for a client, it's most likely that they have their own brand colors. So we are still going to see this in full effect when we talk about interface design in details, right? But let me just clear that up. So for the colors, sometimes you have your brand colors, and most times when you have your brand colors, it's usually the primary color of your design. So primary color is, you use the primary color when you want to call attention to certain things. Just like the way you have Google, right? If you're on Google Meet, you see that one of their brand colors, which is blue, is used for their CTAs where they want to get your attention. So if your client gives you their brand colors, awesome, use it for the design. If they don't, you can use your initiatives. So when you're using your initiative to select your colors, you then start talking about color theory, how to select colors, the meaning of colors, that's color psychology. We're still going to look at all of that in coming classes. When we talk about typography, this is also it's meant to be the primary function of the brand designer to select these things, because when we talk about branding covers, typography, colors, how the brand wants to deliver themselves or how they want to sell themselves. So you're most likely going to get that from a brand designer if you're working with a client. But when you get your I mean, they're just going to give you the typeface or the fonts you're going to be using, right? So it's now left to you to build a typography skill. And we're going to look at that in details in coming classes. Any question? Any other question? And sorry, I hope your question is answered, Charles.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. Any other question from anyone? Okay. If there is another question, I guess we can go over to the next module that we'll be covering today. Let me share my screen once more. Yes. Okay. So now we're talking about research and understanding the user. This user we have been talking about since we started this class. So research is one part of design that you should never skip, because that is your opportunity to understand your user, right? So as a designer, depending on the size of the company you're working with, just if it's something like Google, all these large companies, we have very niched departments, right? So there are people who are in charge of research, there are people who are in charge of just design, and there are people who their focus is just one part of a website. That is what they are focused on. That's because it's a large organization. But in smaller organizations, where we are probably going to have just 2 designers, maybe, you need to be able to carry out this research and analyze the data you get from your research. So I would advise you get comfortable with talking to users. I mean, talk to users. That is the only way you would know what they want. Talk to them. And it's not just, so you don't limit yourself to just talking to users, because sometimes there are some technical products that it will be hard for you to get a sample for and get a sample size for their users. So in that case, you might check out other alternatives like reviews, Twitter, Reddit, places like that are where people can get data. And I don't think a lot of people hack those platforms. Yes, Abdullahi, you can ask a question if you have one.
Yeah, I have a question to ask, please.
Okay.
Yeah, what if is in a scenario that the user or the client doesn't have a technical idea of what they want? They just want to go digital and explain to you with just normal text or normal conversation. How do you go along with that if the user don't really know what they want? How do we get inspiration with our research?
Okay, sorry, let me take that again. So you are asking is it the user or your client who exactly doesn't know what they want?
Let's assume maybe someone have a company, for instance,
Yeah.
that they want to take digital. They want to go digital with their business and stuff.
Okay.
But they don't really know how it's going to work. Maybe they saw it from the competition market that everybody is going digital. They just want to go digital too. And both the user and the client giving you work doesn't have idea.
Okay. I think I get a question now. So
Yeah.
on the end of the stakeholders, that is the client, right? It's for you to demonstrate, because first of all, they must have had a need. Okay, we want to go digital, right? Let me say this, even though it might be a bit, maybe not controversial, but please, as a designer, you are not here to kill yourself for your clients. Just understand that first, because some people some people go digital with their business, maybe at the wrong time or in the wrong direction. It's not because of the designer. It's not for you to do a market analysis to tell them that, oh, going digital is the right thing for you to do, right? There are people who have that job. It's not your job. Your own job is to demonstrate what value they stand to get from the users. That is your own focus, right? So when you have a design, right, you have to demonstrate to them how this design fetches them value. It's not for you to tell them if their business is going to be viable if they go digital or not, right? So in a case like the latter that I talked about, where maybe you already have a design and the client doesn't know how this design is going to give him value, that is when you're going to explain to them, because your client probably has a different opinion, but you are certain, because you have talked to the users, that going in the direction you are proposing is of greater value. You have to give them the research results you have done. Is that clear? And for the users never, okay, some users know what they want, but frequently you're going to see that some users do not know what they want. And we don't go to ask users what they want. We have to decipher what they want based on the scenarios, based on the stories they have shared, which is the importance of talking to users. That's the importance of research. So let's say you're probably designing, no, not designing. Let's say you are trying to modify, okay, maybe an application process, right? Maybe school application or job application or whatever type of application. So a user probably doesn't know that, okay, if they, let me see, how do I put this? So they won't know the technicalities, like, okay, if I follow this route, maybe there are two different ways to submit an application. They probably don't know that one route is shorter, right? Or they don't know that what they want is a route that is shorter, or that they want a different solution to something that's already existing. So when you talk to a user, you probably hear things like, oh, I'm trying to relate it to the coffee app. Okay, let's go back to the coffee app now. So all Sarah knows is that she wants her coffee immediately, right? She doesn't know what goes on in between. Now, she probably thinks that, okay, switching to a different app or something is what she should do. Or maybe driving or waking up earlier to go and get her coffee is what she needs. When you talk to Sarah, you are going to hear that she wants to save time. And for her to save time, it makes more sense for the service to come to her. That way she can save time. She can also even save money, because when you're going to a coffee shop, you have to go forward and back, right? So Sarah does not know that her solution is to start ordering on a mobile app. But when you hear the problem she has, you know that her solution is to make the service go to her. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm trying to explain it as clearly as I can. But does that make sense? Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
Okay, all right, cool. Okay, so back to research. So research, just as I was explaining now, yes, you need to look into your user behaviors. Because sometimes your user might be saying one thing, but their behavior is saying another thing. So maybe somebody talks about, oh, yeah, they want to donate more and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they hoard the things they want to donate. So beyond what they say, look at what they do, because that would also give you more insight to where their problem is coming from. So imagine somebody that wants to donate more, but they have a problem which causes them to hoard certain things, or maybe it's hard for them to declutter, right? But they want to donate. So something you might think about is, okay, how do I get this person to move past this? Maybe get that problem or that stress of having to declutter by themselves away from them. So maybe you can have an option for people to come and take the things you want to donate, right? So that is an example of looking into user behavior. We also look at the needs of the users, not just what they want, but what do they need? What is that solution that is going to actually add value to their lives and their motivations as well? I mean, why are you doing this, right? What is the reason behind this user's behavior? And their pain points. Of course, pain points and needs pretty much the same thing. So what problem do they currently facing that needs to be solved? So okay, I mean, this is still buttressing on what we talked about here. So we have examples of some questions you might have in your mind when you want to carry out a user research. So this is talking about a fitness app, right? And when you talk about motivation, why does this user want to lose weight? Let's start from there. Or why do they want to stay fit? You need to understand that. Do they have a health challenge, which is why they want to lose weight? Now, if you ask that question and from your interaction with your user, you find out that that is something that is possible, or that is something they're currently facing, a health challenge, you can incorporate that in your design. So instead of it just being, oh, you come here, you see activities that you can do and stuff like that, you can take it a step further, which would help them monitor certain metrics concerning their health. Now you're delivering extra value because you understand the motivation of this user. Now, some people might be motivated by collaborations, right? So you can include a feature which would allow people to join running groups or something, cycling groups or something like that. That is also another way to hack into your user community. So when you look at products like Figma, Spotify, these products are subscription-based, right? But they have been able to hack their user community that people don't mind giving them money for their service. I mean, when you create a product that people don't mind giving you money for your service, you know that you have hacked your community. Because for your business to continue running, your users have to be satisfied. So let's look at something like Spotify. Spotify keeps on listening to their users and they keep on modifying their products, the experience, right? So I remember when Spotify Wrapped was introduced, everybody was so happy. So even if you don't listen to music a lot, because you want to have great stats at the end of the year, you might find yourself listening to more music using Spotify a whole lot because there is that motivation that, oh, I mean, that is one application of gamification in design. So we are still going to talk about that later on. But yes, so gamification, you make it like a competition, a healthy competition between your users. So that way, your users keep on coming back to your product. Why? Because there is some sort of reward, whether it's material or not, but there's this reward in their head, maybe satisfaction of their ego or whatever, right? And those are things that research would help you uncover when you talk to your users, and that lies in motivation. That's your user motivation. So back to our weight loss app, there is also another question: what challenges do they face in achieving these goals? So if it's probably somebody that is lazy, then they probably need a feature that would assign them an accountability partner. That is something, right? I mean, if you don't talk to your users, how would you know the challenges they are facing so that you can turn those challenges into solutions, right? I mean, you can think of any other thing really that can cause a user to want to, I mean, that can make a user to want to stay fit or make them to continue using your app. Identifying your target users, which is step 2. So for this fitness app, there are probably 3 or 4 different types of users. So people who are still beginners, novices that don't know anything about fitness. There are people who are intermediate users. There are people who are advanced users. There are people who are lifestyle users. So when you talk about novice, somebody who is, an amateur, very new to fitness, you can think about, okay, we need to get them, we need to make them familiar with the terms that are used in fitness or things like that. So you can think about a feature that probably gives them a walkthrough of the app or gives them, a general knowledge of what fitness is about. So when you remember that you have different types of beginners, you can create experiences for these beginners in the app, right? So your question could be, are you new to fitness? And they select their level. So from the level they select, we define their experience based on that level. User interviews, yeah, these are methods of user research. So we have questionnaires, we have user interviews, questionnaires and surveys. So questionnaires are more quantitative and user interviews are more qualitative. So if you're looking for yes or no or something that you have to validate based on numbers, surveys and questionnaires are definitely your go-to. But when you want to have quality data, right, when you want to see reason into the quantitative data, you have to go for user interviews. So sometimes we release surveys or questionnaires which help us narrow down our research so that we talk to the people who would actually have something valuable to contribute to that product you're building. So your survey could be what do they call it? Sorry, I'm thinking of the right word. I mean, it could be a step for you to select, to sieve out the users. There's a proper term for that, which I can't remember right now, but when I do, I'll let you know. So your surveys could be the first thing that would help you find the people who actually fit the persona you want to address or your target audience, right? So for a target audience, then bring out your persona. Then we talk about synthesizing your research. Because if you do research and you don't act on the research, it's just as useless as not doing any research at all. So when you have your data, you need to be able to make sense of the data that you have. And there are different things we do or different ways we synthesize data. We have empathy maps, just as I talked about the personas. We have journey maps, we have affinity diagrams. So we also have them like the prioritization metrics and stuff like that. You're still going to see all of them later on. So, but the whole idea is be able to make sense of the data that you collect from your users during research. And design, I mean, anything concerning design is always an iterative process. You need to be able to make constant changes based on feedback you get from your users. So don't think you design a product and that is the end of it. Sometimes, okay, just as we have the wave of AI now, right? Some apps you were using before, I mean, from Trello to ClickUp to Notion, I mean, all these apps, if they had stayed stagnant and AI came, we would have moved on to apps that are using AI now to make our workflow faster. So with the introduction of AI or with the popularity of AI now, the designers went back to their drawing board to redefine their processes, to refine their flows, right? To incorporate AI because it's a competition. We need to constantly deliver value. And now it's a race of who can deliver quality value in the shortest possible time. So always make changes, always upgrade your design. Let's look at the case study again, which is the fitness app, right? So now, from what you can see here, they believed it had all the ingredients for success. But before launching, the team decided to conduct a user research to ensure that their vision is aligned with the real user needs. lo and behold, now conducting user research and interviews. So they started by interviewing potential users, fitness enthusiasts, beginners, some people who struggle to stick with fitness routines. So through these interviews, they uncovered certain things, right? So the most significant barrier for users wasn't a lack of workout ideas, but rather the struggle to stay motivated. Now, if they had no idea about that, they would have lost their users because their users are not motivated to continue working out. So you can suggest 10,000 regimens or routines for workout, and nobody would use it because what's the motivation there is lacking. So something you can talk about is maybe a community to keep them engaged, right? Because here they talked about going beyond a workout tracker, because a workout tracker is sort of secluded, right? So you can talk about having a community where people encourage themselves to continue working out. That is one way you can offer motivation to your users. So based on the interviews, the team created several personas, one named Emily and the other persona named Mike. Now, these are personas who have different things they're looking for. Emily is busy. She wants to stay fit, but her schedule is overwhelming. Mike has tried other fitness apps, but he was never motivated enough. Now, two different personas. So for Emily, we have to work towards motivation. And we have to work towards quick workout regimens, right? And for Mike, we have to work towards motivation for Mike. So example, Emily felt guilty about not having enough time for herself, and Mike thought he was failing because he couldn't keep up with his fitness goals. Now, these insights have given you, you have gained some insight into the emotional state of your users, because you also have to consider where they are emotionally. You can't always be logical with users. That is one truth. So you have to hack their emotion something and design with empathy. So the team mapped out Emily and Mike's journey. So for Emily, her journey map is going to highlight her typical day. So a journey map is pretty much how a user interacts with your products from beginning to the end. That is it. So her main pain point was to find the time to work out. And for Mike, his journey map showed that he felt excitement in the first few days of using the app, but after a week or so, his motivation faded. So we need to continue boosting Mike's morale to continue using the app from what we can see. So from there, we can talk about some features that would help them continue using the product. So just as I said, for Emily, we can look at something that is shorter, right? So just as we see here, quick workouts for people like Emily who don't have much time. And for users like Mike, there's something like a weekly goal reminder and the reward-based system to keep him on track. This is where we see applications of gamification in design. So when NewFit launched, it was a hit, not because it had great workout tracking, but because it addressed the real underlying needs of its users. So it's not about how pretty your interface is, or maybe the value it has, because if you're not able to communicate this value or to sell the value, it's just useless, right? And you can do that through research. So there is value in the app. You need to help users unlock the value in that app. So the key takeaway just shows, it illustrates how user research shapes a product, which would resonate deeply with your user. Understanding users and their real experiences. Don't design in a bubble. So when you understand the real experiences that users have and their challenges, it greatly affects the experience that you are going to create for them. Now, let me hear your questions, because that is the end of the class. Nobody has any questions? Okay, Charles, please go ahead.
how do we get to find our users per se?
Okay.
Uh,
How-
I would like if you can use an example of any app. I know we've discussed about fitness app and the coffee shop app. What about other apps? Let's say um, like a
So,
school app
could you take
or
that again? Because my network tripped off.
okay. I was saying we discussed about using the coffee shop example as an example and also the fitness app. How about you use another example to help me better understand how to go about looking for our users?
Okay, okay. Just give me a second. I'll be right back.
Hello, Charles.
Yes, please.
If I may ask, what do you mean? You mean how to find users for your interview? Or do you mean how to get, what do you mean by like how to find users for your project? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, please.
Okay. So do you want to give an example of what project? We can use that as a case study.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
let's say a company that sells a product. Let me use for an example like detergents. Let's say a company that sells detergents and they would like their customers who order in bulk, their distributors to use an app to make orders. So how do we go about um, the users like that to know what they think and what they would like, their needs and wants?
Okay. Do you want to take that, Diana?
Yeah, I can take that. Yeah, I can take that. I didn't know you were even back, but it's okay. So the idea is there is a structured way, irrespective of what product you are trying to carry out your research on, that you must, there are basic things that you must follow. And the key one is have to define who the users are first. So in this case, as a detergent product, who are the users? Typically, I would say household detergent usage, people that use detergent mostly in the house. I would say more like maybe you not understand their age, their lifestyle, how do they buy these products. So basically we are already looking at more gender specific now, mostly female, if you are looking at household detergent usage. So if it's in Nigeria, you're going to say mostly women would be the one to get those stuff. Now you have to also understand in terms of detergent, is it a liquid detergent you're going to sell? Is it what kind of detergent are you going to sell? Is it kitchen detergent? Is it clothes detergent? So depending on what I'm trying to define first your target audience. So you need to understand your target audience. So if you want to know, identify their primarily users group based on maybe their household detergent users, maybe like do they prefer detergent type like liquid, powder, eco-friendly, all this kind of stuff. Then you have to understand their age, their lifestyle, their technology level. How do they adapt to technology? Are they technology driven? That is where I think I overheard Sum to say that spoke about demography and user persona. Yeah, so you need to build your user persona to understand who your users are first. So once you understand who your users are, you now be able to know, okay, where would I find these users? You understand? So if you are
Yeah.
looking for people, you know, is it like a group? You want to go to female meeting? You want to go to women meeting, right? You want to go to the market? You mostly see those kind of people in the market. You want to do look for focus group people to speak with. I mean, as long as you identify your target audience, you will be able to know where these people are. You understand? So
So,
in this case, let's say detergent, is it washing it? Is it for clothes? Is it for kitchen? So let's narrow it down now. What kind of detergent?
okay, let's say for clothes.
Okay, now for clothes, who are these people that really watch clothes most? You see that okay, they may be maybe married people, they may be maybe like you can streamline, you can build two types of personnel, one for a single
Data,
bachelor, you say?
Like a dry cleaner.
Okay, now you see, now that's another. You're already we are already building another persona for it. Someone who is using it for a commercial purpose. So a laundry person. So that person would they prefer a liquid powder? Would they prefer a liquid powder and everything? So by the time you build your persona, I mean, we cannot build 100% in persona on this call, but I'm just giving you a guide that you can be able to. Once you've done that, you now use it, look for a platform like how do you want to gather this data? Basically, there are platforms like user testing and Google Forms and everything. Those ones are basic things. No matter what project you're working on, you always try to leverage on those surveys, feedbacks, and research and one-on-one interview. I mean, current project I was working on for a fleet check, for a fleet management platform. We use Zoom. They are in Canada. I'm not in Canada, but I had to use Zoom to conduct those interviews. And I had about 100 questionnaires coming and 25 feedbacks. 25 interviews from on Zoom. I mean, so you can try surveys, you can try Zoom meeting, you can try Google Meet like this. I mean, depending on what projects, you can gather those information in any way. You can have one-on-one interview. There are some that you can even watch them use the application if you built a prototype. That's still gathering feedback. But I mean, as the course continue, you will get to understand more. But I just feel that no matter what project you're working on, I think the basic way of finding your users are the same. Understand who they are, know where they're going to be, leverage on maybe social media, online communities, then surveys, user testing. You can have one-on-one interview. I mean, there are so many things. Another way say we can do it to simulate some users. There are some, of course, that may not be so accurate, but you can use ChatGPT or other AI now to simulate users' behavior. It will give you a guide, but there's nothing as good as going to do this interview by yourself, but it will at least give you a guide on what to do. You can ask the where do I get these people? What questions should I ask? You can ask ChatGPT, what questions should I ask my users when I meet them for this kind of research? They will give you more like a guide on what questions to ask. Then you can narrow it to your product if that's relevant to the product you want to carry out your user research on. Is that well understood?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, sorry. Seem to I'm off.
Okay. Is there another question? Some people are waiting.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can. Bessie. Hi, can you hear me?
We can
Can
hear you,
anyone hear me?
Messi. We can hear you. We can hear you.
All right. Good afternoon. So my question is, in all of these, like when you are designing for an interface, there are like some design applications we'll be making use of. I just want to know which and which we'll be making use of for designing, like what applications are we going to be looking into for the use of design?
Okay. So for the sake of this program, we're going to be using Figma feature. That's pretty much all you need for it.
I'm so sorry. A call came in and cut me off the connection. I didn't get you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Please, I want to be sure you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I said we're going to be using Figma and FigJam basically for this product, for this program. But of course, there are other design products or software that you can come across as well.
All right, thank you.
Since it seems someone is waiting to join, he said he lost connection on the group. I don't know. Is anyone waiting to join on the call?
Nobody is.
I've joined.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shadrach, please go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Please, I would like to ask, we've been talking about user research and user research and user research. I would like to ask, because I've meant to understand that to get our analysis, our data, we have to send things like survey. So now I would want to ask, because there was an example that was being laid down, which got me worried. Stuff like concerning this dry cleaning laundry stuff. So I wanted to ask, what of in a scenario whereby we want to get our data and we send to people online? Do they have to really be laundry owners or people that offer laundry services? If yes, that means it shows that it's going to be quite difficult to get those people online, because our contact might not even be there might not be a lot of people doing the laundry services. So how do we get enough number of users to respond to get our data? Thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that's example. That's example. It's just that example. So because I mean the product we're talking about, they talked about cleaning, right? Detergents and stuff like that. Let me first of all clarify, your user persona is not limited to people who have laundry who offer laundry services, right? That is just one part of the user persona. But in a case where, just as I talked about, where it's a technical or a very niche product that only people who have certain, should I say, qualifications or whatever, use that same product, just like products like what developers use, right? Because some people don't have access to a lot of developers. Those are highly technical tools that have a very specific target audience. In that case, we have apps or softwares that connect you with potential users. So there is user interviews. I mean, these are paid apps, right? So there's user interviews. There is another platform. I mean, if you do a Google search, you're going to see some suggestions of platforms where you can find users that would want to talk to you about a product you're designing. But we also need to pay attention to, should I say, maybe the non-conventional platforms where you can actually get quality data, just as I talked about Reddit. Because if you go to Reddit, you'd see subreddits where they're like groups for certain professionals or something like that. So there's Reddit, there's Twitter, there's even Facebook. If you know how to hack these platforms to access users. And there are also times when you have to start designing before you talk to users, right? Depending on the stage, the life cycle of that product, where you are currently at, your approach is also going to be different and also based on your team. So most people that design very technical tools, their teams would offer the resources that they need to access the users they have to talk to. Is that clear? Are you still there? Okay, I guess your
Yes,
question
sir. Yes, ma. I got you clearly, ma. Thank you very much.
Any other question? Any other person? So we can
Yeah.
wrap this.
Can I say something, please?
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I joined later during the class, and I just want to know, someone who doesn't have any understanding or knowledge of graphics at all, do you think someone like that can excel learning this? Of course, I'm willing to do everything it takes to learn, but do I have to have that background knowledge before I can proceed to doing this? And that's my question.
Oh, okay. Not at all, honestly. Because I mean, if you want to study design, let's say in school, right, academically, you are going to see people from different backgrounds. The people who studied psychology, there are people who probably did business administration or something like that, or falling into design. So you don't have to, you don't need to have the, you know, design knowledge before you start, because you can even decide to focus on research. From here on, you can decide, okay, what I want to focus on is user research. You don't need to necessarily master any graphic design to be able to do user research. So as long as you're willing to do the work, whatever that you have to learn, your background is not a limitation, right? Because the tool is there for you to learn, like Figma, right? You can always get familiar with Figma, but you don't need to know how to design flyers or whatever for you to be able to transition to design. Yeah. Any other question? Is there another question? If there is no question, I think we can wrap up.
All right.
Okay.
So, okay, sorry. Let me just take over Sumto, since there's no other question, so that we can just for those the purpose of those that just joined the call, just giving a structure of how the classes would be. Then we discuss on the subsequent Saturday classes, because I realized that so many people are asking for a restructured time. In terms of the timing is not convenient. So I think we have almost everyone on this call. Almost everyone on this call, yeah. We're expecting about 17, 17 students thereabout, yeah. So and we have about how many joined today? 9 or so. So guys, the timing. Let's discuss the timing. How many of you said the timing should remain as it is? Like, drop the message on the group now. I need to do a vote. Is there any way they can do a poll here on this call? I don't think so, right? No, they cannot. So can you just drop a chat like your name? Sorry, just drop timing change, timing not change. Just I want to know. Drop the timing. Let's see if it's just few people that wanted it, so that we can know what to do. This is the time to do it, guys, because we don't want. I'm waiting, please. We just have 2 minutes to do this, please. Okay. I'm waiting for others, guys. What the current timing, please? On Saturday is 12 p.m. Normally, when the classes begin fully, it will be around 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. By the way. So, but now because it's a intro class and we are not doing more practical. That's why we had to. The class is fast. Saturday is 7 p.m. Okay, so timing is fine. I'm still waiting. Timing is fine. Timing is fine. So it was just time change, all favor for 5 p.m. Say yeah. Because we want to see how we can carry everyone along. Seriously, we don't want anybody to miss class to be coming back to watch. However, if everybody agrees to this time, there's really nothing much we can do, unfortunately. Timing is fine. Blessing, Charles, I know Charles requested a time change. Over requested a time change thereabout, yeah. So as it is right now, look as if everybody's okay with the timing then. Because Okay, we will continue this again on the group to know what to do with the timing. Then also, just for structure purpose, we are having another class on Friday. There's another class on Friday, and we'll be discussing design thinking process. Then we will do introduction to Figma for those that have not opened Figma. So you will need Elijah. You said you are at work in the UK. Are you based in the UK? Oh, really? I'm also based in the UK. This class was not for you, Elijah. You have you have asked us. This is for people in Africa. It's okay. We talk about that later, Elijah. Yeah. So you're an African, yeah, but it's strictly for those based in Africa, by the way, because we have to be able to account for our fundings. But it's okay. I'll talk to you about that later. So Saturday is fine then, guys. We stick to our timing. Saturday is fine, please. All right. So we will be having design thinking next week, Friday and Saturday. Then introduction to Figma, where we talk about our Figma, talk about bits of components, styles, guide, and variables. I think I will be the one taking the class. Or okay. So guys, should you have any question, endeavor to ask on the community. That group is full of community, all our students, so you can ask question and anybody will respond to your question on that group. There's also this meeting is recorded, so you can come back to watch the meeting, the class later if you miss at some point or you're confused at some point. Endeavor to read more on user research and get ready for our next class on Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. Okay, guys, is that all right? Any other question before we say bye? Okay, then, guys, since there's no other question, do have a wonderful day, please, guys. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you.